Corey Erdman alongside the legendary promoter Don King here in Canastota on International Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend, and I'm sure one of your most prized fighters that you ever worked with, Felix Trinidad, was inducted today. A special day, I'm sure, for you seeing him get enshrined here in Canastota.
Yes, it is. It's Viva Puerto Rico. It's a great day for me and for the people of Puerto Rico because he's a dedicated fighter and he's committed to the people. He carried Puerto Rico with him on every step of the way. Whether win, lose, or draw, he was always there to pay humble acknowledgement to their greatness, you know what I mean? And so he's coming from a humble birth, and being able to rise to fame and acclaim and affluence is indicative to what you can do when you have people around you that motivate and inspire you and that you reciprocate by being dedicated and committed to them. So I love Ed Brophy for organizing and putting it together, you know what I mean, to bring the recognition that fighters like Tito would have anyway. So when you can see that when it gets to any award or anything, they're going to Tito. You can't pay for that. You know, that's priceless. You know what I mean? That's love, you know what I mean, dedication and commitment. And so it's really a thrill for me, you know, to be able to do this. And I was enabled and empowered to do this by guys like George Foreman, who signed 7 blank sheets of paper and get his lawyer with me and didn't live up to whatever he agreed to with his lawyer writing the contract. And so it's a thing of these things here that helps people help each other. When you can't quit on people and you can't be able to betray, you know, Matthew 7:12 says, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Well, it's been said in many, many different ways, many dialects, many customs and traditions, but the message is always the same. You can't judge not yet you be judged. You can't go out and castigate, vilify, ostracize, and then come back and say, don't do it to me. You know what I mean? So it's a thing here, you're going to be able to deal with people, have respect for people, and be able to work, but to you, you could be whatever you want to be. If you have the confidence in yourself and you have the faith in God, nothing would be impossible to you.
Well, you just mentioned commitment, and you brought up the fans that Tito has, and they were nuts here in Canastota again. Where does he rank as far as all the fighters that you ever worked with in terms of fan support? Because I would imagine he's got to be, you know, top 5 all time in terms of a raucous fan base that follows him everywhere.
Yes, he is. He's a throwback to the days of one of the greatest fighters of all time, Muhammad Ali. He had a fan base. And then you got to say, those who disagree and those who agree. That's 100% of the fans because, you know, that's the people. And that's what Muhammad Ali stimulated. He invoked that type of mystic and magic. And when you find people with the genius of Ed Brophy that will be able to bring these people together and then put it out there so you can be, those who can see it, Ray Charles can bear witness to it. You know what I mean? Then you got something that's going because it's contagious, it's addictive, it's people power. You know what I mean? That's why I've always promoted the people, not just the event. The event is the catalyst to bring the people together. You know, Michael Jackson told me many years ago that music is the ribbon that ties humanity together. And I added to that, boxing is the sport that brings people together, that brings humanity together to be tied. And so we have a combination there that has been undeniable, unbeatable. And so what you have is you got an exciting thing here, and you can see the crowd is getting bigger and bigger every year, not smaller. And each one of these people here today over this weekend for this glorious induction ceremony will be apostles. They will carry the word to friend and for alike, you know, that a great happening took place in Canastota in New York, and great athletes were inducted into the Hall of Fame. But telling their little kids, you can be there too. You can do this, you can do that. They'll all be in the street of fighting, but you know what I mean, whatever endeavor that they so choose to be true to the cause. Live the life you love and love the life you live. This is what makes things happen when everything else seems seemingly impossible and you feel depressed and downtrodden and you feel that you ain't gonna be able to make it. Hold on, put faith in God, put confidence in yourself, rise to the occasion and keep on keeping on.
All right, let's talk about the seemingly impossible. I have to ask you this about the present right now. Did you ever think that at this point in your career, many, many years later, that once again you'd have a piece of the heavyweight title pie with Bermane Stiverne in your camp? Did you think at this point that you would still have a piece of that heavyweight title again?
There's no question. Do you understand what it is? Just look at the numbers. This is the 40th anniversary of the Rumble in the Jungle. All right, so from 40 years ago and bringing the title together with 2 staunch athletes that spell loyalty with the big L-O-Y-A-L-T-Y. You know, this is what really makes the difference. See, we broke down the barriers of so many different racist walls that was there. they opened up the way all athletes started getting paid. Nobody was paying athletes. All of the biggies was holding on to the money, talking, giving them patronizing statements, you know what I mean, but not giving them any money. So when I come in was $5 million apiece plus, you know what I mean? And so these two guys stuck with me till I found the $10 million. You know what I mean? Like I told you, Foreman signed 7 blank sheets of paper, got his lawyer, Steve, and he put the words down in the contract, and George lived up to every one of them. So George, in effect, empowered me to be able to have a Tito Trinidad, to have a Julio Cesar Chavez, to have a Sugar Ray Leonard, you know what I mean? To have all of the guys that have came behind him, Tyson, the Holyfields, you know what I mean? And all of those that were there and part of, because he empowered me by standing firm and dealing with it, and Ali by being my great friend. And so you got two guys that's both stuck with me. It shows you what people can do, how the chain will go. And it'll be extended if you have faith in God and you have respect for yourself and respect for the other man. And so take the 2x4 out of your eye before you try to take the splinter out of others. So now I'm back at the heavyweight division, but I'm a promoter of the people. The difference is you had 2 champions, which would have been platinum gold. You know what I mean? 2 brothers in one family, the same mother and father. You know what I mean? Boy, with somebody that will promote the people, but in other words, great guys, but they became isolated. You know what I mean? You couldn't even tell who the champion was. You know what I mean? So I don't worry about no competition about other alphabets to it. The WBC champion is the only champion. So when I get through, they all will be unified if he can stand up and meet the task, because with me, it will pick and choose. You got to fight the best to get the best. Give the people what they want, and they will respond. The magic word in boxing is, when is the next one? And that's when is the next one. So when you go out to put on a good show, you ain't got to ask nobody whether it's good or not. The fans are going to say, when is the next one? You know what I mean? But when you keep giving them something, a main event that turns out to be a dud, and the rest of it ain't nothing but trash anyway, it ain't no good. You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. You got to give them quality, and you got to give them quantity, but quantity is in excess of quality, or it's an extension. Quality is what really makes it quintessential. The best fighting the best. And this is what we got to do and make boxing what it should be, to return to glory and recapture yesterday's image now, because you opened so many other doors, you gave so many different ways for people to do different things, where before all they could do is the box. You couldn't go into nothing else. You know what I mean? The prejudice and the racist segregation and all of that, which still continues today, but in a more sophisticated form, they couldn't be able to deal with it. So I'm just happy that now it just came back again, and now we can see the difference. All Bermane has to do is to be a winner. Stand up and fight and be loyal to the fans. If he's loyal to the fans, you won't have to come up with the different type of diabolical sinisterness and trickeration. Just keep winning and be right with the fans. That means he's automatically right with me, because I'm a man of the masses, not the classes. You know what I mean? So I'm going to deal with the people, the lumpen proletariat. That's where I come from. That's where I will remain to be. And hopefully it can bring a lot more of them to be able to get a little bit more better respect, acclaim, fame, and influence.
Well, congratulations on another world champion, and everyone back in Canada hopes for a long reign for Bermane.
Me too. I hope so, and I hope everything be good. He got a good guy up there working with him, and Camille Estefan. And so we're going to see if we're working together works. That's what it's simply put. You know what I mean? You don't have to go through the diabolical sinisters and emulate and imitate the famous OJs. They smile in your face when all the time they want to take your place, the backstabber. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a backstabber. Be up straight, man. Walk across that line. You know what I mean? Yesterday is nobody. It becomes tomorrow somebody.